Hello， 大家好，欢迎大家来到以色列美角的频道。Today I invited my friend Oriel to answer the big question. A lot of people want to know why is Israel killing innocent people in Gaza? You know, what about those 40,000 people who are innocent, but the Israeli army is there, and then somehow these people are sacrificed just because Israelis hostages are still not back. So how is this justified? So before I ask Oriel to answer this question, I want to give people this background. The reason why Israel is engaged in this war is because of what happened on 7th October. More than 1,200 people, including women, elderly, and children, were killed in a very cruel way, and it has never happened in Israel. Nothing like this happened. It's basically the 9/11 of Israel. So there's no way for any country, including Israel, to accept something like this happening to the civilians. Those people were people who live on the kibbutz or partygoers at the Nova festival, so it's impossible. So this is the background, and I'm asking Oriel this question because she's the most honest YouTuber that I've met so far. She has a channel.
Thank you.
Yeah, and she can answer this question because she's an Israeli. She lives here. She was here on the 7th October. So, and she's very compassionate. So I hope she has a very good answer for us.
I don't know if it's the best answer, but it's an answer.
Okay.
I think that for people that don't live here, all that they get is what they understand from the media. So if the media tells you, 500 people were killed in the hospital, you don't have a reason not to believe it unless you know who Hamas actually are. I don't think I say this, just lightly when I say that Hamas are liars. They've been lying from the beginning about so many things. And that doesn't mean that there aren't actual casualties. This is a war, and in war there are casualties. And I'm saying this and prefacing it by saying that we don't hate Palestinians. We don't hate Gazans. We pray for them. We pray for our enemies. We pray for Hamas. And so I'm not giving this answer lightly as if there's hatred in my heart. But what you need to understand is that the numbers that the UN and Hamas put out in the beginning, those numbers aren't correct. And so if the number right now is 40,000, it's not actually 40,000. If you go to the updated number of the UN, it's literally half of that. Mm-hmm. But also what Hamas does is they don't include the fact that Hamas terrorists are included in those civilian numbers. Yeah. And so it doesn't mean that there aren't real casualties in this war. There are, and it's really, really sad. And now here's the thing. I think you can probably find this quote on yourself that Golda Meir says that we have to forgive Palestinians not just for killing our sons, but for forcing us to kill theirs. Mm. Israel doesn't want war. There are 2 million Arabs living in Israel today, in which a lot of them want to have peace. We live alongside each other. If we were to, look at this square alone, you would see a whole bunch of different types of people, because Israel is a place of peace. And people are welcome to live here as long as they want to live in peace. Then you have to ask yourself the question, if there is no peace, who is it that doesn't want it? Because Israel hasn't instigated all of these wars. We definitely haven't instigated the last war. And so you have to look at the track record of who actually wants peace and who doesn't. And I saw today a picture of before and after of a square in Tulkarem in the West Bank, for example. And you can see that before there were terrorists trying to kill us from there, the square looked amazing. It just looked lush with greenery and every good thing that a city has. And then after terrorists tried to kill us from Tulkarem, it looked devastated. And so when you look at Gaza, you see the results of the devastation of what Hamas has put on their own people because they refuse to have peace. Israel doesn't want this war. Israel hurts over casualties. We don't take it lightly, and we do everything possible to prevent casualties in every way.
Do you know anyone serving in the IDF? Israeli army?
Yeah, I have. I have a friend that she was on not the first line of defense in Gaza, but the second, and her whole role was basically to receive information about emergencies and fallen soldiers, make sure that they get helicopters and help, and make sure also that the information of the fallen soldiers gets to the families first and not to the public. So you have a lot of really brave people in Gaza.
So what do you say about people who make a claim that IDF people are evil as Hamas. Like, what do you say to this comparison, comparing IDF to Hamas?
It's not true in every sense of the word. When you go into the IDF, I didn't have the privilege of doing so, but when you go into the IDF, you have a code of ethics in which you are sworn to. The IDF's purpose is to protect its civilians, including those who call themselves, Palestinians or identify as Palestinians. We don't discriminate. And the fact that there's even a moral comparison is there's no way to even do that. When Israel doesn't have a reason to defend itself or to attack, there is no war. You've probably heard the famous saying, like, before October 7th, on October 6th, there was a ceasefire. And the only one that keeps breaking that is Hamas, because they're not lovers of life. Israel is here to protect its citizens. But I think that Hamas makes it very, very hard for us to be able to fight a just war against only Hamas when they are determined to put their own people in harm's way.
Yeah, human shield.
Yeah, absolutely.
People used to talk about human shield like in the first 2 months after the war broke out, and now people don't talk about human shield. It's right. Hamas is using their own people to manipulate the media, to make the world to have empathy towards them, and not looking at the fact that Hamas actually kidnapped innocent civilians from Israel and then using them and then killing them in the end.
Yeah.
Threatening Israel to come to the table. But Hamas doesn't want peace, so how can you negotiate?
Another thing that I saw actually today was a picture of the entrance to the tunnel where the 6 hostages were found. It's literally in a kid's courtyard. It's next to a children's bedroom. And so they don't have any qualms or moral clarity on why that's not okay to put your people in harm's way. They care more for killing and hating Jews than they care about defending their people. And I think it's really sad.
Yeah. So last question, what do you say about people who said Hamas is doing this for Palestinian, for the independent state? They do this because they don't have a state. If Israel gives Hamas a state, then this would not have happened. But actually Israel withdrew from Gaza in 2005. A lot of people are ignoring that fact.
Yeah, that's true. We did withdraw from Gaza, but not only that, like in 1948, and I'm not a historian, so you can go and do your own research as well, but anyone who returned after they left because all the armies around us said, come out, we'll fight them, and then we'll give you the land back. In actuality, it was Israel that when many of those people returned, they offered them back, their land if it wasn't destroyed, and they offered them citizenship and full rights just as, I have in this country. A lot of people accepted that, and so they can, be in universities and study and be anywhere and everywhere. But a lot of people didn't accept that. And so I think that's a really clear and telling sign to show that Israel we're not interested in this war, and we really do want peace.
Israel went through so many wars because the Arab countries don't want Israel to exist, and then Arafat invented this term called Palestinian, but in fact Palestine was a region with Arabs and Jews living there, so there wasn't something called the original Palestinian living in Palestine, and the Jews from Europe came and stole the land. It wasn't like that. It was people living here, and the Jews wanted a country, and the Arabs didn't want Jews to have a country, and then they had an internal fight, and it became an international fight, and then Israel won, and we have Israel today. But as Oriel said, there are Arabs living in Israel, and they call themselves Palestinians, and they're 20% of the population. So this is the reality of Israel that the media doesn't always talk about.
Yeah, there's no reason for us to not live in peace. And if the war was really about land, then we would have peace with Gazans, but it was never about land. So that's also something to look at.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to add?
No, just that I'm really grateful for Susan and grateful for you guys that you are interested in Israel and that you're praying for Israel, and just thank you. And thank you.
What kind of videos do you do on your YouTube channel?
My vlog is very vloggy. So it's a mix of everything, just showing life in Israel and all the places I go. There's some war-related things, but not always, and just how normal life for a typical Israeli Messianic Jew is in Israel. So, yeah.
Okay, go to subscribe her channel. Okay.